Life used to be a lot more affordable. Your grandparents could buy homes, raise families, and retire without drowning in debt. Today, millennials can't afford anything without worrying about rent, student loans, and a cost of living that keeps climbing. The numbers prove it. College tuition costs nearly 1,200% more than it did in the 1970s. Healthcare, childcare, and expensive things now feel out of reach, turning everyday life into a financial struggle. Here are the things your grandparents could afford that now feel out of reach for millennials and Gen Z. Each one shows how the cost of living shifted and why financial security feels harder to reach today. Think life is harder now? You're about to see just how much the game has changed. Check out the full details by visiting the link in the description. But before we go any further, yes, this is an AI voice, but a real person wrote this. I earned my financial freedom and I'm not doing this for money. I don't like narrating videos, so I use an AI voice. Ignore that the voice is AI, the video is worth it. Number 1. Weddings. Once upon a time, weddings were simple. Couples got married in a local church, had a reception in the family backyard, and called it a day. A big wedding didn't require loans or maxed-out credit cards. The average wedding costs around $30,000, which is more than a down payment on a house. Venues, catering, photography, and even flowers have turned into major expenses. The wedding industry has convinced people that a marriage isn't official without an Instagram-worthy event, and couples feel pressured to go all out. Many millennials either delay their weddings until they can afford them or skip the big celebration altogether. Number 2. Large family homes. Owning a spacious home with a big yard used to be the norm. Families bought houses that could fit multiple generations under one roof without struggling to afford the mortgage. In the 1960s, the average home price was around $1,900 to $300, a number that sounds almost laughable today. Fast forward to now, and housing prices have shot up 118% while wages have barely moved. It makes sense, too, that houses cost more because they are now more than twice the size as just a few decades ago. Many garages are now larger than traditional starter homes. The idea of a starter home has faded, and many millennials are stuck renting, unable to afford a place of their own. With rising costs and intense competition in the housing market, owning a home has shifted from an expectation to a luxury. Number 3. College education. There was a time when students could pay for college with a part-time job. That's not an option anymore. Tuition has skyrocketed, leaving many millennials drowning in student debt before they even start their careers. A 4-year degree now costs tens of thousands of dollars, and many graduates spend decades paying off loans. Even those who work through school or secure scholarships often find themselves burdened with massive debt. The return on investment isn't what it used to be, and higher education has become a financial gamble instead of a guaranteed ticket to success. Number 4. Healthcare. A trip to the doctor used to be affordable. Insurance was reasonably priced, and medical bills didn't send people into bankruptcy. Those days are long gone. Millennials face higher premiums, higher deductibles, and skyrocketing medical costs, even with insurance. Many put off doctor visits or skip necessary treatments because they simply can't afford them. Healthcare is now a financial burden rather than a safety net, making basic medical care feel like a luxury instead of a right. Number 5. Cars. Buying a car used to be a straightforward process. You saved up, bought a reliable vehicle, and kept it running for years without massive repair bills. Today, new cars come with price tags that make them feel out of reach, and financing them means taking on more debt. Car insurance costs more, repairs are expensive, and gas prices fluctuate constantly. Millennials aren't avoiding car ownership because they don't want the freedom. Many simply can't afford the ongoing costs that come with it. Number 6. Family vacations. Taking a family vacation wasn't a rare event for previous generations. Road trips, theme parks, and beach getaways were affordable, and families didn't have to budget for years just to take a break. Airfare, hotel prices, and travel expenses have surged, turning vacations into a luxury rather than a given. Many millennials opt for staycations or cheaper alternatives, knowing that the cost of a single trip could set them back financially. For a generation already stretched thin, vacations are often the first thing to get cut. Number 7. Retirement security. Pensions used to provide a guaranteed paycheck in retirement, allowing people to step away from work without worrying about financial instability. Those safety nets have mostly disappeared. Millennials are expected to fund their own retirements through 401k and IRAs. But with wages failing to keep up with the cost of living, saving for the future is harder than ever. Social Security's future is uncertain, and many young adults doubt they'll ever be able to retire at all. What used to be a straightforward process has turned into a financial puzzle that many struggle to solve. Number 8. Childcare. Once upon a time, a single income was enough to support a household. Many families had one parent stay home with the kids, and even those who needed childcare could afford it without sinking into financial stress. That's no longer the case. Childcare now eats up 20% of a household's income, compared to just 2% in previous generations. Many parents find themselves choosing between paying for daycare or quitting their jobs because the cost of both is unsustainable. Grandparents could afford to raise kids without making these impossible choices. Millennials? Not so much. Number 9. Furniture and appliances. There was a time when buying a couch or a refrigerator meant it would last decades. Things were built solid, repairs were simple, and nobody expected to replace major appliances every few years. That's no longer the case. Planned obsolescence is a real thing, forcing people to replace furniture and appliances far more often. Millennials aren't upgrading for fun. They're replacing broken items because manufacturers figured out it's more profitable to make things disposable. Grandparents bought it once. Millennials buy repeatedly. Number 10. Life insurance policies. Life insurance used to be affordable. Many employers provided coverage, and individual policies didn't require a second mortgage to maintain. That's changed. Now, decent coverage costs significantly more, especially for those without employer-sponsored benefits. Many millennials are forced to choose lower coverage or skip life insurance entirely because the premiums don't fit into their already stretched budgets. What was once a standard part of financial planning has become yet another expense many can't justify. Number 11. Vacant land and farming. There was a time when buying land wasn't just for the wealthy. People purchased empty lots with the dream of building a home or even starting a small farm. That's not the reality anymore. Land prices have skyrocketed, making it nearly impossible for younger generations to own a piece of property, let alone use it for something productive. For millennials, the idea of buying land and growing food sounds great in theory, but in practice, it's about as realistic as buying a mansion in cash. Number 12. Full-time domestic help. Hiring a nanny, housekeeper, or even a gardener was something middle-class families could afford. It wasn't just for the ultra-rich, it was a way to balance work and home life. Now, those services come with premium price tags. The cost of hiring full-time help has surged, turning what used to be a reasonable expense into a luxury. Millennials are doing more chores, more childcare, and more household work than their grandparents did, simply because outsourcing those tasks is financially out of reach. Number 13. Utilities and energy costs. Electricity, water, and heating weren't cheap back in the day, but they were manageable. Today, energy costs have jumped 64% since 2000, outpacing wage growth. Bigger homes, new appliances, and rising fuel prices mean higher utility bills that stretch budgets even further. Grandparents didn't worry if they could afford to keep the lights on. Millennials? They're adjusting thermostats, sealing windows, and stressing over every kilowatt hour. Number 14. Concert and event tickets. Seeing a live band or going to a sports game wasn't always a financial event that required months of planning. Tickets were affordable and people could attend shows regularly without thinking twice. That's no longer the case. Ticket prices have soared, resale markets drive costs even higher, and hidden fees push prices past what most people can justify. A night out at a concert now costs as much as a week's worth of groceries, making live entertainment a rare indulgence instead of a casual weekend plan. Number 15. Quality public transportation. Public transit used to be reliable, efficient, and inexpensive. Many of our grandparents could get around easily without owning a car. That's no longer the case. Budget cuts, fare increases, and deteriorating infrastructure have made public transportation less accessible and more expensive in many areas. For millennials, unreliable transit means longer commutes, higher costs, and, more often than not, being forced to own a car just to get to work. Number 16. Employer-sponsored pension benefits. Once upon a time, companies took care of their employees in retirement. Pension plans guaranteed a steady income, and workers didn't have to worry about running out of money in their later years. Those days are gone. Pensions have been replaced with 401k, putting all the responsibility on individuals. Millennials are expected to figure out their own retirement, invest wisely, and somehow save enough while juggling student loans, rent, and rising living costs. Retirement security isn't guaranteed anymore. It's a puzzle that many are still trying to solve. Number 17. Clear work boundaries. Work used to have clear start and stop times. You clocked in, did your job, then went home. Nights and weekends were your time, and nobody expected you to check emails or be available 24/7. That's changed. Thanks to smartphones and constant connectivity, work now follows people everywhere. Many millennials feel pressure to always be on, making it harder to unplug and separate personal life from professional demands. Work-life balance? That's a nice idea, just not one that exists anymore. The financial gap is real. Millennials didn't mismanage their money. They inherited an economy that makes financial stability harder to reach. Housing, education, healthcare, and even basic expenses have outpaced wages, turning necessities into luxuries. What used to be standard for previous generations now feels like an uphill battle. The idea of achieving the same financial security as their grandparents is slipping further away. The numbers prove it. Costs keep climbing, but paychecks don't keep up. Unless something changes, the gap will only grow wider. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget the link in the description.